Have you ever realized the moment you started trying to keep her was the moment you started losing her? Because most men don't lose women in one big argument. They lose them in quiet habits, in the way they start asking for permission to be loved, in the way they start negotiating for attention like it's a paycheck. And the worst part is, you don't even notice it happening until she's colder, farther, and suddenly confused about what she wants. Here's the disturbing truth. Once you understand what actually drives female attraction, you stop fearing loss. Not because you become numb, because you stop playing the losing game. You stop trying to please your way into respect. You stop chasing your way into desire. And you finally see the rule most men never learn until it hurts. Women don't respond to how much you want them. They respond to what your wanting says about you. Reason 1. Women respond to strength, not pleasing, and pleasing is louder than you think. Pleasing isn't kindness. Pleasing is when your spine disappears because you're afraid of her reaction. It's when you over-agree so there's no tension. It's when you soften your standards so she doesn't leave. It's when you keep smiling through disrespect because you're trying to be the good guy. She feels the need under it. She feels that you're asking to be chosen. Strength is calm direction. It's the man who doesn't seek permission to exist. He doesn't rush his words. He doesn't over-explain his intentions. He doesn't try to earn her mood with gifts, texts, or emotional labor. He shows up, he leads himself, and if she's not aligned, he doesn't collapse. And that calm is what makes her relax, because it signals something rare. You're not trying to take from her to feel okay. You can see the difference in one small moment. She cancels plans last minute. The pleasing man scrambles, jokes it off, offers 10 alternative days, and hopes she feels guilty enough to choose him. The strong man stays calm, acknowledges it, and keeps his life moving. No anger, no punishment, just reality. And reality is what creates respect. When you stop trying to earn her mood, her respect rises quietly because she can finally feel the real you instead of the version performing for approval. Here's the moment everything quietly changes. The less you perform, the more she feels you. Performance is loud. It smells like desperation even when you call it love. Strength feels like freedom because you're not turning the relationship into a job where she has to constantly reassure your ego. Reason 2. Attraction changes with your behavior, and that should scare you, in a good way. Men talk about attraction like it's fixed, like a woman either likes you or she doesn't. But attraction is reactive. It responds to how you show up over time. When you become more available, more eager, more accommodating, she often values you less. Not because she's cruel, but because you taught her your attention is free. Your habits teach her what to expect, and expectation reshapes desire. If you text instantly every time, you become predictable. If you drop everything for her, you become convenient. If you tolerate mixed signals, you become negotiable. And she doesn't even decide to feel less. Her body just stops leaning in because the dynamic stopped feeling earned. This is the part nobody wants to admit. The dynamic shifts when you stop reacting and start observing. Instead of chasing her mood, you watch the pattern. Instead of asking for reassurance, you watch effort. Instead of trying to convince her, you watch whether she moves toward you without being dragged. And what you tolerate becomes the standard, not what you say, what you accept. Here's a mini hook you need to remember. If your behavior can raise attraction, it can also kill it. That means you're not powerless. But it also means your small daily choices are either building desire or draining it. Reason 3. Respect comes before love, because love without respect turns into a prison. Men want to be loved so badly, they'll accept a relationship where respect is missing. And then they wonder why intimacy becomes mechanical, why her tone gets sharper, why she stops admiring them. Respect is felt in her tone, her effort, and how she handles conflict. It's whether she can disagree without trying to humiliate you. It's whether she keeps her word. It's whether she values your time like it has weight. If she can disrespect you and still keep you, she learns it's allowed. That's not a female thing. That's a human thing. People repeat what gets rewarded, and when disrespect has no consequence, it grows. Desire follows respect like a shadow. When respect fades, intimacy becomes duty. She may still stay, still laugh, still kiss you, but the energy shifts. She stops looking up to you. And when she stops looking up to you, she stops feeling pulled toward you. You don't earn respect by being nicer. You earn it by having limits. A man with standards feels higher value because he can walk away. Not to threaten, not to punish, because he refuses to trade dignity for access. Respect is the foundation that keeps affection from turning transactional. When respect is present, love feels lighter, not like work. Here's the moment everything quietly changes again. The day you stop negotiating for basic respect, you stop being a man she can manage. And a man she can't manage is a man she starts taking seriously. Reason 4. Neediness kills desire quietly, and it doesn't look like you think. Neediness isn't always crying or begging. Sometimes it's being too available. It's the constant check-ins disguised as care. It's the over-texting disguised as communication. It's the over-explaining disguised as honesty. It's the way you keep trying to lock her in because you don't trust yourself to handle her absence. Neediness turns affection into pressure, and pressure suffocates attraction. Constant reassurance tells her you don't trust her, or yourself. If she feels responsible for your mood, her desire starts dying because she's not your partner anymore. She's your regulator. And a woman can love you and still lose desire the moment she feels like she's carrying your emotional stability. Neediness removes suspense. When she has you completely, tension disappears. And tension is not toxicity. Tension is the space where desire breathes. The more you chase closeness, the more she craves distance to breathe. Your fear becomes the center of the relationship, and romance fades. Neediness doesn't look like love. It looks like dependence, and dependence feels heavy. Here's the mini hook. If you want to know whether you're being needy, ask yourself one thing. Are you giving affection, or are you asking for relief? Reason 5. Attention is power in relationships, and most men donate it like they're trying to be liked. Whoever needs less attention controls the emotional temperature. That's why the man who can stay calm in silence feels powerful without trying. Your attention is currency. What you give teaches her your value. When attention is free, it becomes background noise. It becomes expected. And expected attention stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like a resource. This is why withholding reactions breaks manipulation. Not withholding love, withholding reactions. Tests, guilt, drama, those tactics only work when you feed them. If she can summon you anytime, she stops respecting your time. If she can trigger you anytime, she stops respecting your emotional control. Attention should reward respect, not disrespect. And the moment you stop feeding the dynamic reveals itself. You'll feel it when you stop chasing. She suddenly notices, not because you became a mystery, because you stopped being a guarantee. She notices your value most when your attention is no longer guaranteed. That's the uncomfortable truth. And it's why men who keep giving more to fix a relationship usually make it worse. They teach her there's no cost to giving less. Reason 6. Boundaries create real attraction, because boundaries create clarity. Boundaries signal self-respect, and self-respect is magnetic. A boundary forces a choice: respect you or lose access to you. If she cares, she adjusts. If she benefits, she argues. Boundaries stop mixed signals from turning into long-term confusion. They stop you from becoming the man who waits. Saying no calmly shows strength without needing conflict. You don't need threats. You don't need speeches. You need consistency. Boundaries protect desire by keeping you from becoming always available. A man who can leave makes his yes meaningful, and the right woman rises to your standards because she feels safe inside them. The wrong woman fights them because she was enjoying the lack of them. Here's the moment everything quietly changes again. The first time you hold a boundary and don't fold under guilt, she learns you're not a tool. You're a man. And that shift changes the entire atmosphere. Reason 7. Emotional control changes everything because emotional control is dominance over yourself. She watches how you handle pressure because that's your real value. Reactivity makes you easy to manipulate. Calm makes you hard to move. When you stay grounded, she stops feeling like she has to manage you. And the moment a woman stops managing you, she can finally relax into attraction. Calm firmness feels safer than anger and more powerful than pleading. Control in chaos creates attraction because it signals stability. A man who doesn't break under stress becomes the anchor. The less you react, the more clearly she reveals her intentions, because she can't hide behind your emotions anymore. Here's the moment she notices you without you begging to be noticed. When you stop chasing, she notices. Not because women love games, because chasing creates a role. The chaser is always beneath the chased. The chaser is always proving. And the second you become the man proving, she starts relating to you like something she can evaluate instead of something she can respect. When you stop chasing, the frame flips. Your attention stops being automatic. Your presence stops being guaranteed. And that creates a tension that isn't toxic, it's alive. Suddenly, she has to feel you as a choice instead of a certainty. She starts leaning in, not because you punished her, but because you removed the comfort of taking you for granted. That's why men who keep trying harder often get less. They're feeding comfort, not desire. Reason 8. Mystery keeps her investing. And mystery is just self-respect with a private center. Mystery isn't lying. It's not disappearing to manipulate. It's not acting like you don't care. Mystery is when you don't narrate every emotion to get a reaction. It's when you don't hand out your soul for cheap approval. It's when you can sit in silence without panicking, and you can leave a conversation without needing the last word. Oversharing kills tension because it turns you into a known product on a shelf. She knows exactly where you are, what you feel, what you want, and how to get you back with one message. But when you have a private center she can't control, she invests mental energy trying to understand you, and mental energy is the beginning of attachment. She pays more attention because she can't fully predict you, not in a chaotic way, in a grounded way. Mystery plus consistency creates intrigue without games. It makes your yes feel rare, because it is. And that private center is what rewrites the dynamic. Because once you stop handing out access for free, she has to meet you at your level. She can't keep you as a background option while she figures herself out. She can't disrespect you and expect your warmth to stay the same. Your self-respect becomes the new frame, and everything else in the relationship has to adjust around it. Her effort, her tone, her consistency, even her attraction. Not because you demanded it, because you finally stopped donating yourself. Now here's where the script turns inward, because the truth that makes a man never lose isn't about women at all. It's about the man's relationship with loss. Here's the part nobody talks about. You don't chase because you love her. You chase because you fear what her absence says about you. You fear being replaceable. You fear being the guy she didn't choose. So you try to secure the bond by becoming more pleasing, more available, more accommodating. And the more you do that, the more you teach her that your value depends on her mood. That's why men who lose women often lose themselves first. They stop acting from standards and start acting from anxiety. They stop moving with purpose and start moving with reaction. They start monitoring texts like they're vital signs. They start rewriting messages to sound cooler. They start apologizing for boundaries. And then they call it love. Here's the inward flip that should sting. The real game is whether you can stay solid when you don't know where you stand. Because that is the moment she's watching. Not for perfection, for stability. And if you can't sit in uncertainty without begging for clarity, you become a man she has to manage. And once she manages you, she stops desiring you. So the question becomes brutal. Do you have a center? Or do you have a relationship? Because if she is your center, you will always lose. You will always chase. You will always fold. You will always bargain. But if you are your center, you can love without begging. And that's when you become impossible to lose in the way you fear. Because losing her doesn't destroy you. And that's where we go next. Because mystery isn't a tactic. It's what happens when you stop narrating yourself for approval. And self-respect isn't a quote. It's what you do when her mood tries to move you. And once you understand that, you'll see why the man who stops chasing doesn't become cold. He becomes free. And freedom is what keeps her investing. Because the one thing women respond to most isn't your words. It's your center. And the only way to keep your center is to stop building your identity on whether she stays. Here's what never lose actually means. It doesn't mean you'll never get left. It means you'll never get owned. You'll never get dragged into the version of yourself that begs, bargains, performs, and then calls it love. You'll never lose your frame, your dignity, your time, your direction. Because once you stop needing her to validate you, the relationship stops being your lifeline and starts being what it's supposed to be, an addition. Reason 9. Self-respect rewrites the dynamic, and it does it without a speech. Self-respect is the quiet line you refuse to cross. It's not what you post. It's not what you say in a setting boundaries conversation. It's what you do when she tests you, when she pulls back, when she gets moody, when she uses guilt, when she tries to see if you'll trade your standard for a moment of warmth. Most men think self-respect is an attitude. It's not. It's behavior. It's you not replying instantly when you're busy because your life is real. It's you not rushing to fix her mood because her mood isn't your job. It's you not tolerating disrespect just to keep access to her body. It's you leaving a room when the tone turns ugly instead of arguing to win. It's you letting a plan die if she can't respect your time. And the reason it rewrites everything is because it removes the invisible contract she was relying on, that you'll always be there no matter what. When you finally stop donating yourself, people feel it. She feels it first, because she's been receiving the donation, your attention, your reassurance, your emotional labor, your willingness to stay sweet when you're being tested. When that donation stops, she has to adapt. She can rise to your standards, or she can fight them. But either way, the dynamic is no longer built around your fear. Here's the moment everything gets cold and honest. The first time you don't rescue her from the consequence of her behavior. Not with anger, with calm, with absence, with a simple refusal to reward disrespect. That's when she learns your value isn't negotiable. Reason 10. When you stop chasing, she notices. And she notices because the relationship loses its automatic fuel. Men have the wrong picture in their head. They think women want to be chased, like it's romantic. What a lot of women want is to feel chosen by a man who doesn't need them. Chasing is not choosing. Chasing is pleading. Chasing is you trying to earn a place in her life by making your life smaller. When you stop chasing, she suddenly has to feel the weight of her own actions. If she pulls back, you don't sprint forward. If she gets vague, you don't beg for clarity. If she tests you, You don't over-explain. You simply keep your life moving and let her efforts speak. That is shocking to a woman who's used to men chasing to restore comfort. And you'll see how quickly the air changes. She'll start checking where she stands. She'll start bringing energy she didn't bring before. Or she'll disappear. Both are a win, because both are truth. The only loss is when you chase someone who is comfortable giving you less, because then you're telling her, less is enough. This is where men get intoxicated. She starts leaning in again, and your ego starts shouting, "See, it worked." And this is the exact moment you can lose everything again, because you mistake her interest spike for a permanent shift. You rush back. You flood her with attention. You overinvest to lock it down. And the dynamic resets, because she learns you still can't hold your center when she gives you a little warmth. So the rule is brutal. If she returns, your standards don't disappear. If she gets softer, your spine doesn't disappear. If she acts interested, your life doesn't start orbiting her again. Because the moment she becomes your center, she becomes your leverage point. And leverage points always get pressed. Now let's talk about the part men avoid because it's not sexy. It's not female psychology. It's male fear. You don't chase because you don't know better. You chase because you're terrified of the meaning you assign to being left. You don't just fear losing her. You fear what losing her says about you. That you weren't enough. That you were replaceable. That you were the guy she didn't choose. So you try to prevent that story by being perfect, present, pleasing, always available, always understanding. And that's how you quietly destroy your own value. Because in your attempt to never lose her, you lose yourself. You start monitoring her mood like it's weather. You start reading texts like they're verdicts. You start timing replies to manage perception. You start doing things not because they're true to you, but because they might keep her close. And now your entire identity is reactive. You're not a man living, you're a man managing. And women feel that management. They feel the hidden contract. I'll be good if you stay. They feel the pressure of being your emotional source. They feel that your peace depends on their behavior. And that is the fastest way to make a woman pull away, because it turns her into your regulator instead of your partner. So never lose starts with something most men hate, accepting that you can lose her and still be okay, not pretending you don't care, not acting cold, actually being okay, being able to feel the loss without collapsing, being able to be disappointed without begging, being able to walk away without revenge. That's what self-respect looks like when nobody's watching, and that's what women respond to, because it's rare. Here's a scene you've lived, even if you won't admit it. She takes longer to reply, and your chest tightens. You tell yourself you're calm, but you open the app again. You craft a message that looks casual, but it's really a check. You send it, then you stare at the screen like you're waiting for oxygen. That's the losing game. Not because she's wrong, because you're not free. A free man can like her and still not be owned by her. He can desire her and still keep his life intact. He can give affection without turning it into a transaction. He can hear "not today" without making it mean "I'm not enough." He can handle uncertainty without trying to control it with words. And that is why he doesn't lose the way most men lose, because his identity isn't in her hands. Now let's bring it back to the "this about women" part, because there is something about women that changes everything once you see it clearly. Women are not attracted to suffering. They are attracted to strength under pressure. They respond to what feels stable, what feels chosen, what feels earned. They respond to the man who can give warmth without needing it returned to survive. They respond to a man whose attention has weight because it isn't desperate. That's why pleasing fails. Pleasing is you trying to buy safety, and safety purchased with self-betrayal is never respected. So when you know this, you stop doing the losing behaviors. You stop rewarding disrespect with closeness. You stop trying to fix a woman's mood like it's your job. You stop turning your life into a waiting room for her availability. You stop confusing anxiety with passion. You stop accepting mixed signals as complexity. You stop flooding her with attention to prevent her from leaving, because all of those things are built on the same foundation: fear. And fear makes you negotiable. Now, here's the coldest truth in the entire script. The man who never loses isn't the man who keeps every woman. It's the man who can finally tell the difference between a woman who adds to his life and a woman who drains it. And he acts accordingly, without drama. He stops trying to turn low effort into potential. He stops explaining basic respect like it's optional. He stops staying where he's tolerated. He stops calling maybe a relationship. He stops letting a woman's inconsistency dictate his consistency. He becomes the kind of man who doesn't need to be chosen because he already chose his standards. And that's when everything flips. Because women don't just respond to your strength, they respond to the consequences of your strength. They respond to the fact that you will not trade your dignity for access. They respond to the fact that you can leave, not as a threat, as a truth. Here's how it looks in real time. She tests you with a little disrespect, expecting you to laugh it off to keep her. You don't. You stay calm and make it clear it's not acceptable. Not with a lecture, with a boundary. She goes quiet to see if you'll chase. You don't. You let the silence sit. She returns with warmth to reset you. You don't rush back like a starving man. You receive it, but your standards remain. And in that sequence, you just taught her something most men never teach. Your attention is not free, and your peace is not negotiable. At that point, she has a choice: rise or leave. And you're finally okay with either. That's the part men don't understand until they've been destroyed by the wrong woman. The goal isn't to keep her. The goal is to keep yourself. Because the moment you keep yourself, you become the kind of man women feel, even if they can't explain why. And the kind of man women feel is the kind of man they don't easily forget. Now the final descent. If you keep trying to never lose by pleasing, you will lose anyway, because you will become smaller. You will become resentful. You will become a man who gives too much and then gets angry when it doesn't work. You will start using kindness like a weapon. You will start calling women confusing because you refuse to admit the truth. Your behavior taught them how to treat you. But if you never lose by building a center, purpose, standards, emotional control, self-respect, you stop being at war with women. You stop trying to decode them. You stop needing them to prove your worth. You become steady. And steadiness is what turns attraction into something that lasts. So the this that changes everything isn't a secret about women. It's a secret about you. You don't win by being the best option. You win by not needing to be an option at all. You win by living like a man who can lose a woman without losing himself. Because that's the only man who can love without begging, lead without controlling, and walk away without collapsing. If this made you see something you were avoiding, you already know what to do.